he's going to find himself getting passed by multiple cars, as I mentioned earlier on. So New York in a very precarious situation, but he often finds himself in these places. Doesn't qualify as well as he races. Up front, they are getting with Lee Aberdeen and Luca Varani, not very far apart at all here. But I just want to see how Alistair Haight deals with Marcello Kessler coming around the old hairpin. But I would say it's not the best decision they've ever made, just not having done that under the safety car, really.
Yeah, they're taking their pit stop strategies from Ferrari lately, isn't it? What's going on?
In turn one, just too much gas on them, too much feet on the out pedal, and unfortunately he's dropped you all the way down the order. But Philip Hammer is out in front by an 8.91 seconds. Dan Michael is a wall there, sir. And it definitely doesn't want to be hitting that earlier on as well. Difficult, the understeer is in the dirty air through that final corner because it's such a long corner and you get dragged off into the grass very easily. He'll have the slipstream down it towards the chicane. Peterson was briefly alongside, but that slipstream has saved him and kept him in third. Yeah, Varani now lost a little bit of time to Aberdeen, about half a second. Peterson is... Pike's pushed more forward up ahead. He's got out of line. Is now Pike going to have a go at Werrell? Don't push him off. He's in the championship fight. Jack Werrell chasing down Carl Jacklin. Further down, Rob Williams and Chris Barnes.
Sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly. Miller's still start trouble. He's got a second and change. All of a sudden Miller's back in play.
Moving on to the back end of Phil Jocelyn. So there's been a lot of movers and shakers in this first 2 laps here for race.
Absolutely serious racing league. Everybody's allowed to have fun. Yeah, it's all about the entertainment. So I hope everybody is enjoying themselves out there in the chat. We know that Ron is been enjoying himself watching. The Burger King machine's off into the grass a little bit there. Is that really bunching up now?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Thursday nights. It can only be the Radical SR10 Championship, round 5. It actually is, not round 4. It's round 5, and it's the champions pick. One, Mr. Simon Edwards of last season picked Belle Isle for his pick of tracks. Now, we've had Hungaroring, we've had John McHutchinson with his Knock Hill reverse, we've had Brands Hatch, but now we're at Belle Isle. It's going to be very, very exciting indeed. What have we got for you? We got an 11-lap sprint, 18 laps in the feature, top 10 reverse for the feature race. Let's not forget on that one. Let's bring you the scores on the doors as they currently stand at this moment in time. James Barry is out in front by 5 points over Simon Edwards. James absolutely dominated Zandvoort. He was so insanely quick. He did an amazing job. George Gonzaga sitting in third, Mike Busson in fourth, James McRitchie in fifth, with Jamie Bird in sixth, Josh Reed in seventh, then Paul LeMay in eighth, then David Rolliston, Seth Brown, Damien G, Paul Crabb, Robert Woodward, Michael LeMay, Phil Glover, Darryl Taylor, Phil Jocelyn and Graham Matthew rounding out the top 18. David Beasley, Neb Smith, Dan Webster, Luke Maxwell, Chris Kane and Graham Brown rounding out the final 24. I'm James Parfitt. I'm going to be joined in the booth not by Mr. Alex Goldschmidt this evening, who has a dinner date. I am with Mr. Zach Sweeney. And before we start, of course, if he is watching, and he did say he would be watching, big shout out to Mr. Paul Clark, who has just spent the last 6 days in hospital. He is out now and he's at home chilling, watching the race. So much love to Paul. Get well soon, sunshine. Hopefully we'll see you back on the track next week, maybe there as well. Let's bring Zach into the booth. Zach, how are you, dear sir?
I'm very good. Looking forward to some radicals. It seems that I'm at this championship very intermittently, sort of like 6 months at least between rounds. And the one question I ask each time is how many championships has Simon Edwards won? I've been informed by yourself. It's 7. He's racking them up. And Belle Isle in radicals is an interesting pick from the reigning champion, I can't lie.
Yeah, he basically, I think his philosophy was it's just going to be absolute chaos, to be blatantly honest with you, because Belle Isle, not the most easiest circuit, right? We've got some very hard corners, we've got that, I suppose it's almost a fountain section from turns 7, 8, 9, 10 and 11. So there's quite a lot to this circuit, and I think with the walls being as close as they are and the tightness and braking zone that we've got as well, could spit up some interesting scenarios.
I think so. Every time I've come to Belle Isle, I've not had a boring race, and that can go however you'd like it to go. It's up to interpretation. It's either really exciting or really chaotic, and to be fair, there's quite a little bit of crossover between those two terms. Qualifying, though, is going to be vitally important. What I am interested in is going to be that reverse grid race, because it's tight, it's twisty, it's technical, and the curbs here as well are quite high. These radicals, not driven one in a while, but from what I can remember, pretty sensitive to said curbs, and even more sensitive to a barrier. So I'm going to assume, and this is my top-tier Esports World Cup analysis, they're going to stay away from them.
Yeah, I would have thought they would do as well. I've got to give this man a big shout out who just spent about an hour and a half with me before we went live, due to the fact that I was having some wonderful PC complications, which I've been having literally all day. So I've got to give Simon Edwards some love there as well for managing to at least get me here where I am tonight on live, because at one point we weren't even going to be doing that because I was having so many scary issues, and it seems that one problem kicked up another one. So big shout out to Simon Edwards there for bailing me out on that one. He's just sitting on pole as well on 124.699. Dan Webster back in the series again, second race in a row, sitting in second at the moment. What are they going to have to remember, Zach, with Belle Isle? Because as we said, the walls are close, the curbs are high, and the cars don't like either. So what's going to be the best way of them handling this track?
Don't crash, to be honest. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what it boils down to. You know full well someone at some point is going to make a mistake. You just don't want it to be you. So you've got to be in it to win it, right? At the end of the day, you know, qualifying and being on the pace helps, but you can be the quickest driver on track. That doesn't necessarily you're going to be the one that crosses the finish line first. So just making sure you're in the race still, hammering those laps, choosing comfortability over pure pace, particularly maybe with the setup or even just your driving, having a more sustainable approach, because, you know, at the end of the day, even though there is a sprint and a feature, they're still not short races by any means, especially when you've got the bumps and the difficulties of a circuit like Belle Isle. So at the end of the day, like I say, you've just got to churn in the laps and let the race come to you. Patience is key.
Yeah, Dan Webster there as well, going on pole position, 1:24.543. This lap's going to be invalidated due to that wall tap he's just had on the outside coming out of turn 2. That's going to be a corner and a half, I think, for some of these people to manage as well, because it does come up at you quite quickly here. We'll jump up in the air with David Rollison. You've got to go right for 1, and then you've got to go left for 2. You're on the power quite early. The problem is obviously it dips and bounces there, so it is a natural progression to kind of let it drift wide, but then before you realise it, you're in the wall on the outside, and that's not going to be the most easiest. You know, I've seen races in the SR10s where the front nose cone with a new damage model that iRacing have got on comes shooting off in the air. The car looks like a triangle at the front, believe it or not, underneath that nose cone, and there's literally nothing left of the car. So I think with the tightness of this circuit, the way that the walls come up on you, the way that you've just got to be brave, some of these people will survive and some of them will not. Now, one of the people I am interested in to see if he does survive or not is this man, and the reason I do pick on Phil Glover at specific circuits is the motion simulator with VR. Turned it down a little bit for Sebring. I think he probably might want to do the same here for Belle Isle.
I would imagine so. I've got to say, I respect motion rig and VR. That is probably the most immersed you could be. However, and this is a debate that I've had with so many people, and I call it a debate. It's more a conversation of agreeing, which surprisingly enough can happen in sim racing, despite the fact we all love to argue with each other. And that's the consensus, that immersion doesn't necessarily equal pace, nor does it equal comfortability.
No.
Fortunately for Glover, it's a case of, okay, it's a shorter championship, but say you're doing like an endurance stint and you've got VR, you are wearing your monitor on your face, right? What happens when you get an itchy nose? What happens when your eyes start to sweat and it starts to become heavy and draining on your neck? And sort of the motion rig as well, the bumps, going over a curb, having a spin, having a crash, it adds up, and over time you're adding more fatigue. So yeah, probably he's going to be driving with a massive smile on his face. Is that necessarily going to translate into pace though, is the question.
Well, I can answer some of your questions that you said there. What happens if you get an itchy nose? You've got to take your hand off the steering wheel and scratch it. What happens if you get sweat in your eyeballs? Well, you've got to blink a few times to try and make sure you can get it out. And the only reason I know that is I was in VR for the MX500 at Martinsville, and I said to my spotter, we're only going to go and do an hour. I said, because obviously I don't expect to last any longer than that in that side of race. MX5s around Martinsville, 500 laps. However, 4.5 hours later, I was on the last green white checker going in the lead, and I started at the back. So yeah, it does feel heavy, you do feel knackered, and I was sat in VR and sweat in your eyes where you just got to blink more.
Yeah, but then when you scratch your nose, the entire monitor moves, because that is what it is. The entire screen will move and you can't see. And that's the difficulty that sort of comes with it. So I'll be honest, I've never driven VR. My boss at work has asked me for recommendations on VR, and I was like, I don't know, mate. But I'd love to try it. I've tried motion rigs. Competition I did a couple of years ago, we had proper racing rigs, and oh my word, they were absolutely astonishing. The immersion you got was incredible, but you probably couldn't do any longer than, say, an hour's stint before you were like, yeah, okay. Novelty's worn off a little bit. I'm just frustrated that every time I try and turn, I get sucked into the back of the seat. So I respect it because the immersion is there, but in terms of speed, it's the case of why people prefer maybe a curved monitor or triple screens over a VR headset.
Well, I did our very own Paul Clark had a motion rig, and when we were up there back last year, it's got to be now, we had a go, but we did a little competition as well to see who could drive around Silverstone National blindfolded in a motion rig, listening to instructions from somebody else. Needless to say, that was quite interesting.
Do I want to ask how it went?
To be fair, I wasn't the fastest, but I got around the race circuit. So, and there was quite a few people who didn't make it at all. And then there was my little boy who decided that he was going to make a little peek hole through the blindfold. And every experienced sim racing driver is sitting in second gear, tootling around Silverstone National, and he's up in fourth, throwing it into the corners. We're like, you can see there, little son. No, I couldn't. It turned out he could. James Barry goes and extends his pole lap on a 1:23.983. Dan Webster still in second, 1:24, half a second back, near enough. 1:24.4 for Simon Edwards. Josh Reed, who's had a good season, 1:24.5. 1:24's through near enough throughout the board. There's that. We don't need that second mark till about 8th place. It's going to be an interesting tight field at the beginning.
Yeah, it is. I'm looking forward to it, actually. It's nice to see such a high level of competition, qualifying in the books, and a second covering the top 8. This is going to be an exciting race, considering how technical Belle Isle is. It's impressive as to how close it is, to be honest.
James Barry will take pole. Dan Webster nearly 4 tenths back from him. Simon Edwards 4.5 tenths back in third. Josh Reed in fourth. Then you got Luke Maxwell and James McRitchie rounding out row number 3. Mike Busson and George Gonzaga rounding out row 4. David Rolliston and Paul Crabb on row 5. Damien G and Phil Glover rounding out row 6. I wonder if Phil's going to need a dentist by the time he gets to the end of this one. Graham Matthews, Paul LeMay and David Beasley. I've been asked by Paul LeMay not to give him too much grief tonight. He has, obviously, as we all know here on the series, he does suffer with his hands. He is giving it a go, but I've been told not to expect too much out of him. So he's out there, he's trying, and he's having a good old go, is Paul LeMay. But how far he will get, we do not know. But there's Dan Webster. We're just waiting for James Barry. Simon Edwards just got onto the grid there. Josh Reed. James is now on there as well. Just waiting for Luke Maxwell and Mike Busson. Why is it with the Team Redline boys always taking absolutely ages to get onto the grid? We had David Beasley sneak into the session as well. Is he going to make it onto the grid in time? He's got about another 40 seconds. Mike has joined us finally on that one. The Team Redline boys are lined up together, but ladies and gentlemen, we are going to go. It does look like we're not going to have David Beasley, and here we go. 5 lights are going to be on, and round 5 is green, green, green. Coming down into turn 1, James Barry takes the whole shot. Dan Webster sitting in second, Simon Edwards in third. They're 2 wide further back with Luke Maxwell. Mike Busson trying to have a go with James McRitchie, goes up past him as well. Gonzaga in there, Paul Crabb in there, but it's James Barry leading the way. Webster sitting in second. They're coming into turn number 3 now, and at the moment there, Zach Barry takes the whole shot.
Yeah, this is exactly what he wants to do from pole position, is to just stretch his advantage and get away. He doesn't want to get involved in any first lap shenanigans, get his head down, churning the laps, and let everyone else squabble for the leftovers as he tries to get away. At the moment, he's been able to do it. You can see 2 or 3 car links back to Dan Webster, then Simon Edwards, who, to be fair, needs to make some inroads. He's obviously 5 points down in the championship coming into this, and at the moment, James Barry looks secure to maybe repeat what he did last time out at Zandvoort.
Yeah, he did. He was incredibly quick at Zandvoort last time out as well. It looks like he's going to be taking the win if he can stay where he is. Never say never, though. Dan Webster's no slouch. Neither is Edward. Neither is Reed in behind. Maxwell and Busson not very far apart either. And they're having a nice little go. You've got Rolliston throughout this pack as well, sitting at the back there in that Tiger liveried machine. Damien G in behind, Phil Glover, Paul LeMay, Graham Matthews. David Beasley did not take to the start, so we will not see David on the grid. But I can tell you one thing, James McRitchie's got a bit of a battle on his hands. Gonzaga comes round, taking lap 1. And at the moment, McRitchie's not really escaping here.
Yeah, not really, but it's all about teeing yourself up for that second run through turn 2, then the run, of course, to turn 3. 90-degree right-hander, very easy for it to all go wrong. Let's see if Gonzaga's going to look to the right-hand side. He does in that 113 machine, just a bit of a look, not anything overly committed, as James McRitchie runs a little bit wide. That is going to put him off, but it's Belle Isle, and again, if that was, say, Spa, it would be game over for McRitchie. Obviously, it's not. you can get away with a couple of inconsistencies provided you just make that car wide.
Yeah, they have got to be careful of this new damage model. Of course, it kind of gives you almost a progressive damage where you hit something and then you hit it and then you hit it and then you hit it and then finally it will break. So you've got to be a little bit careful. They're a little bit more sensitive to damage as well. Gonzaga here with McRitchie tucking in, coming into this almost fountain roundabout-esque section of Belle Isle. 8, 9, 10 and 11 before you go back round the right-hander, almost coming back on yourself. Very tricky section, that one, Zach, and they've just got to make sure that if they can get that right, it will set them up for the last half of the racetrack.
Yeah, exactly, and it is just about making sure you're taking a hop, skip, and a jump through the majority of the corners, because it's all about rhythm, it's all about flow, and specifically at street circuits, specifically a circuit like Belle Isle, rhythm and flow are going to be so important. You want to be comfortable, as that's so wide from McRitchie, and that is not the flow he wants to have. Look at the difference. One mistake through turn one, and it's opened the door for Jorge Gonzaga to open the door. It's going to bring the 113 to the left-hand side. Of course, it's the outside for turn number 3. I think McRitchie's going to defend this one.
Yeah, there's no way Gonzaga's going to chance that, not with that big old tyre barrier that you can see in the background sticking out there. If Georges went even remotely to try and have a go at that, that's where he would have ended up. So definitely better to pull out than absolutely end up nailing it into the tyres. But McRitchie just slowly, Gonzaga's gone round. Is he going to be able to flip it back round out the way? He is, but he ends up all the way down in 13th now. He was going to get 13th. Graham Matthews just gone past him. Mike Busson now picking up the mantle with McRitchie. Barry and Webster still going. Easily done here though, Zach. The surface of the racetrack, not hard for that to happen.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, look at how low these radicals are, and look at how high some of the oscillations are in terms of the bumps around the circuit. Doesn't take a lot for the car to bottom out, and when it does, you saw there James Barry through that right hander, the compressions and the shock absorbers working very hard on these radicals, and if they bottom out, the car is just going to spin round, and that's that. It is so easily done, but so unfortunate when it does happen, and that's why we sort of have to commend iRacing for laser scan and being as pinpoint accurate as possible, because it allows you to emulate those. Unfortunately, I don't think Gonzaga is going to be too happy as to the quality of the track build after that spin.
No, definitely not. It's going to wish it didn't kind of happen, but I've been there, done that, and I drove at Long Beach the other day in a supercar V8, and that was scary. That was frightening, that car. It literally wanted to kill you at every slightest possible moment it had an opportunity there. Edwards ran a little bit wide, nearly almost clouted the wall on the left-hand side. No visible damage on the front left of his car. That's where we're sitting at this moment in time. But Webster, however, closing in on James Barry, and he's getting closer and closer. Is this going to be a Webster move coming into what we got 7 laps left though? Webster's got plenty of time here, and he is looking a little bit swift over James Barry at the moment.
Yeah, he is. He definitely seems a little bit better in terms of just how he's positioning the car. And like you say, fortunately, he has got time on his side. So patience, like we said in qualifying at Belle Isle, is important. He knows he's got time just to play it maybe a little bit safe here. Simon Edwards isn't really within striking distance as of yet, but of course I'm sure Webster is going to be aware of that threat behind him as well. As we close in towards half distance, time is on his side now. It won't be in a couple laps time. So while yes, he can to an extent take his time, there's going to be a point where he does need to get a little bit of a hurry on, start eyeing up where he can make that move, or play the psychological game and force Barry into that mistake. That is realistically the easiest way to get an overtake done here at Belle Isle.
I think the worry is that Barry's driven so well this season. He has been, like Zandvoort, for instance, he was literally unstoppable. At Spa, he was taken to school by Simon Edwards. Edwards taught him everything, literally, Edwards knew about Spa. Barry was trying something, couldn't make it work. He got past Edwards. Edwards tried the same thing, made it work, and went straight past him. So for Barry learned a massive amount coming out of Spa, and then Zandvoort, he just absolutely dominated. But now he's got a different kettle in fish. Dan Webster is not slow. That's without a shadow of a doubt. He's been out of the SR10 for quite a while, but he is going to just keep pressurizing him. He's almost just like a prize heavyweight fighter, Zach, and he's just jabbing at Barry constantly. Bang, 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 bang. And then all of a sudden, before Barry knows it, he's either going to make a mistake or he's going to get a knockout blow and Dan's going to go through.
Yeah, chipping away bit by bit. It's a race of attrition, more so than anywhere here at Belle Isle. So, yeah, it's a good analogy in terms of the boxing, just slowly but surely taking it out of him. But the more jabs you throw, the more stamina you take out of yourself equally as well. So he has got to be careful, maybe not to throw too many and sort of wear himself out and make that mistake himself. We saw earlier with Gonzaga and his fight with Mick Ritchie. You can apply that pressure, sure, but don't do it at the detriment to yourself. And also, it just seems that Barry, I mean, yeah, over that, maybe Webster's able to close the gap. But the important thing for Barry is he's quick where he needs to be. And that's going in and coming out of corners, particularly as you sort of go round that, you called it the fountain section earlier, we'll run with that final right-hander of it. Barry sets himself up so much better coming out of it. And that means there's nothing that Webster can do pretty much for 2/3 of a lap, because the next overtaking point after that is turn 3.
Yeah, well, this is it's kind of not a fountain at the end of the day. I didn't realise they actually just kind of blocked off a whole park. So, you know, we can call it the park section if you want. But either way, they're doing the same thing as if you would at Long Beach, for instance. And Webster's closing in. Barry's got the run over this lap. You can see visually he's at 1, 2, and the sector's 4. He's been quicker. Webster got him a little bit in the middle. But it's that run down now, down the start-finish straight. Who's going to get the final sector? It is Barry again. So he's kind of restored a little bit of the lead. Now Simon Edwards has lost a place to Josh Reed. Going to be interesting to see where coming out of turn 2, Edwards hit the wall, and that's one of the things that we were exactly talking about.
Yeah, that's going to be costly for Simon Edwards. Of course, 5 points down in the championship coming into this, and, well, he's going to be losing a couple more after race number 1 as well. The good, I suppose, a good thing, quotation marks, maybe a bittersweet moment, is that he'll start higher up for the reverse grid race, which I assume will yield more points for him. So at least there's that. He's got less track position to make up in race 2. And to be fair, third place still not out of the question. He's only half a second off Josh Reed. So it is still possible. But Simon Edwards, he needs to turn it around a little bit, because he's got the potential for an 8th championship in the Radical Racing Series. But well, at least on recent form, from what I can tell, obviously I've not got the full picture of the season in front of me, but Barry's driving better.
Barry has been doing really well, and there is at this moment in time a 7-point gap between what Barry would earn on 25 and Edwards would earn on 18. You are right, the second race does have a bigger disparity. It's 40 for the win, and then 35, 31, 28, 26, and then it goes down in ones below that. But maybe that's what Edwards kind of aiming at here. For a man that picked the race circuit, you might have thought him to be a little bit quicker on that one. You know, he would have done the most amount of practice. He knows the circuit, he knows all of it, and I would have thought he would have been a little bit more swifter. But that wall here has kind of almost put the I'm not going to say frighteners, because I don't think Simon Edwards even gets frightened in the dark up an alleyway with the Undertaker staring at him. You know what I mean? I think from that, but I think it's probably knocked him a little bit. He's had to take it a little bit careful for a couple of laps, let the tyres cool down a little bit, and now get going again. And this is what he's doing at the moment as he's coming into turn 6, a long run up into turn 7. Is he going to be able to defend? He got so close to that wall. The only saving grace, Maxwell was closing all over the back of Reed at the moment. Into turn 7 they go, through the little kink, coming out the other side. Edwards makes it as they are. Maxwell didn't get through either. Not an exceptionally long run, Zach, though. That's the thing from turn 6 to 7. So, you know, it's not really an overtaking opportunity if you can't get out of turn 6 properly.
Yeah, unless you're already alongside, it's always going to be really difficult unless you are treading on the line between brave and stupid, and there is a little bit of a grey area there. But at Belle Isle, you want to lean more into that conservative stance, because it takes, you know, a split-second decision for everything to go wrong. A small mistake sort of blows itself up into a very, very big consequence. So you've got to be so careful. You can get away with it at open circuits like Spa or Paul Ricard or whatever, where you've got, you know, more runoff to rely on. At Belle Isle, though, you go for a same move and you sort of bottle it as such. It's going to end badly very, very quickly for you. Let's see what Luke Maxwell can do versus Josh Reed going into turn number 3. The 118 looks to the outside. Of course, that's the orange machine of Maxwell. Doesn't quite manage to seal the deal to the outside because, like we've said, that tie bar on the outside, incredibly daunting to try and go for a move on the outside because you think you've got it, and then very quickly you find yourself face to face with some rubber. Lap 9 of 11. We've got James Barry from Dan Webster. That gap is bridged to around about 3/4 of a second. So the number 10 doing something right in the recent laps just to, I suppose bridge the gap. He's not really bridged the gap. He's just sort of taken a stepping stone away from Dan Webster.
Yeah, I think you might be right. I think he's kind of opened it up a little bit by about 3 tenths. But if Webster's been hanging back and just sort of letting the car settle back down again, he's got another 2 laps to go back at him. And what we were talking about, he's literally just pulled 2 tenths practically from coming out of turn 11 down into the right hander of turn 12. We've now got that long sweeping right hander all the way down into turn 1. It's not a big sudden stop at the end of turn 1. There is a slight little kind of brake and lift almost. Round you go. You let it run harder on the brakes for turn 2, trying to stay out the wall that Simon Edwards found so costly. Dan Webster's got him back down again here, Zach. He just must have settled down for a couple of laps, and now he's going back at him again.
Yeah, let's find out, because he's only got sort of a lap and 2/3 left to try and find some sort of an attack. It's the 111, that's Webster, that's second place. Just in front, of course, is James Barry, championship leader, race leader, going for his 3rd consecutive victory. And to be honest, he deserves it. He's driven so clinically well. He's not put a foot wrong, but it's not a 10-lap race. It's an 11-lap race. And I know that goes without saying, but just because he's driven well up until this point, it means diddly squat if he throws it away on the final lap.
Yeah, I think it's down to what Webster's going to do. It's how smart is he going to be? That's the question. Is he relying on Barry making a mistake? Is he relying on him being able to get through? Barry made the mistake going through turn 9 and 10. Webster's now got to go harder on the brakes. Barry looks like he's almost losing the tyres here, Zach. He almost looks like he's sliding around a little bit. Not a lot of grip coming out of that SR10 at the moment. And Dan Webster could be seizing the moment here on the final lap of the race.
Well, let's see. As they come out of the final corner, they tick past the timing line. It comes at you very, very quickly. Dan Webster, white flag. Let's see if he can stop James Barry from going for that 3rd consecutive victory. Turn 1 and 2 come at you very quickly. You've got to carry the speed, and probably the key overtaking opportunity is here at turn 3. You've got to absolutely commit if you want to go for it. Parking it in the middle of the track, though, very cleverly from the championship leader, giving Webster the choice. He opts to the outside. Barry keeps the defence quite nice and tidy.
Is there anywhere left? Quick question.
Well, the next corner's left.
No, you know, is there anywhere... Is there anywhere left on the racetrack? Can he get him coming out of here? This is going to be the question. This is what we're saying. This run isn't long. It's not a massive run, and Webster needed to be well in between 2.5 tenths. He's not going to get there before they come into the right hander. Barry's on the defense again. Is Webster going to make the most of this opportunity? Barry looked like he almost struggled going around here. Webster's going to have that run now. He's going to literally tuck in right under his nose now. Dan Webster, he's got to make the move coming out. Is he going to be able to get him on the sweep? I don't think he is. I think it is going to be a James Barry race win for round number 1. Don't think Webster's going to be close enough. Never say never. But here we go. Down into the line. It is going to be Barry. Webster is not close enough. Barry's going to come over. He's going to continue where he left off. 3 wins in a row here for James Barry. Takes the victory. Dan Webster in second there. Is he going to regret Zach not making the moves, Dan Webster?
I mean, I think he's going to regret not trying, because, you know, but at the end of the day, it depends what he wants. Was he happy with second place? I mean, naturally, obviously, as a driver, you want to win, but was it a burning desire to risk it all, risk a potential second place, to go for it? Because it's that risk versus that reward. Was it worth a do or die moment? At the end of the day, like we've said, at Belle Isle, can you afford to go for a do or die without risking not only harming yourself, but also the drivers around you? So that would have been something that was playing on the mind of Dan Webster. Do I risk it? Because now, in race 2, the arguably more important one, he starts ahead of Barry.
Yeah, he definitely does. Let's bring you up the results for race number 1. James Barry out in front, Dan Webster in second. second place. Come back, thank you. Simon Edwards in third. Luke Maxwell finished in fourth, with Josh Reed in the end down in fifth. Paul Crabb in sixth. James Marici in seventh. Mike Busson in eighth. Paul LeMay and Damien G are going to be on the front row. That's going to be exciting for them too. Phil Glover just misses out in 11th. Jorge Gonzaga in 12th. Graham Matthew 13th. David Rolliston 14th. And David Beasley did not take to the start. It'll be very, very interesting indeed here as well. Let's have a quick chat with Mr. Phil Glover, as we normally do during this time. Phil, we've got about a minute and a half, buddy. How's it going out there?
Oh, my arms are absolutely whacked, James. But it's the motion sim's interesting as well.
Have you turned it down, or do you need a dentist?
No, I've left it as it was. So it's really good fun, actually.
Good.
It's not as bad as it's consistently more bumpy than one or two of the bumps in Sebring, so it's a bit more manageable.
What, going around rattling your teeth and rattling your brain cells?
Yeah.
What do we expect from race number 2, Phil? You're starting in 11th, just missed out on the top 10 pole.
Yeah, my strategy is hoping that other people crash out, so we'll wait and see.
All right, mate. Well, good luck to you there, buddy, and we'll have a catch-up at the end of the race.
Yeah, sure will.
Take care. All right. To be fair, for a man that's just had his brains rattled for 11 laps, he's doesn't sound too bad there, Zach.
Yeah, we'll see how he is after race 2.
Yeah.
That's the next step. Maybe he's riding a wave of delusion at the moment, and when it sort of calms down, he'll look and go, "Oh, hang on, I've got no teeth." Yeah, we'll see. We'll find out. We'll speak to him after, and if he sounds like Sid the Sloth, then we know something's gone wrong.
Yeah, I think we might be right on that one. Don't forget, guys, if you have just joined us as well, like, subscribe, turn on the bells. That'd be absolutely amazing. We've got a lot more racing coming up for you here on the JPB YouTube channel. We've got Triple Bypass at Nashville Super Speedway later on for the Xfinities. Then we've got the GT4s here, Brucey GT4 series coming back on Friday. Then we go into an FTR Season 6 Round 2 4-hour endurance race. Guess where, Mr. Sweeney?
Tell me, James.
Detroit Belle Isle.
Oh, bro. Oh, no. How many cars?
Well, yeah, that's the thing on that one. Damien G is on pole with Paul LeMay alongside him in second. Then you got Mike Busson and James McRitchie, Paul Crabb, Josh Reed, Luke Maxwell, Simon Edwards, and Dan Webster, James Barry, Phil Glover, and Mr. Gonzaga in 12th. Sorry, Graham Matthews, David Rolliston, and David Beasley on that one. So, so if you want to see some interesting multi-class on Saturday, please.
It's multi-class.
It's multi-class.
Oh.
It's multi-class, but it's not multi-class as you know it, Mr. Sweeney. All right, what cars do you normally see in multi-class?
Well, Hypercar P2 GT3. I'm assuming it's like GT3, TCR's GT4 or something. I don't know.
Yes. You are
is it
right.
actually?
It is, yeah. GT3, GT4 and TCRs.
Oh,
so
I'm good
there you go. Phil Glover's, Damien G's in the pits, and Paul LeMay, I think, is bailed out because of his hand. So Mike Busson finds himself on pole. However, Mike does not get off the start. McRitchie does not get off the start. That's opened it up for the Irishman and Paul Crabb to have a go coming out the run out of turn 2 there. Damien G and Paul LeMay both started from the pit lane, you chickens, on that one, as they did not want to be on pole position. But it is Mike Busson leading the way. There is G and LeMay in the background. Man from Froome in Somerset takes the whole shot round turn 3, giving a little bit of a lifeline there, Zach, I think, for the others.
Yeah, exactly. And let's see if he's able to storm away with it. Of course, the 666. Let's see if he's able to have a devil's drive and get away from the likes of Paul Crabb and James McRitchie, because he's going to want to, because it's an 18-lap race. It's a lot longer than what we've just had in race 1. It's a lot longer to be consistent. It's a lot longer to keep your brain switched on. But the good news is that the drivers behind are also going to have to be fighting their way through. Paul Crabb having to go defensive from McRitchie as he tries to go to the outside of this right-hander that leads you into the so eloquently dubbed park section. No way through for the 44 on this occasion, and all it's allowed is Mike Busson to just ever so slightly get away. Just looking at the progress from our championship, or well, the front runners of today in the forms of Dan Webster and James Barry. They're P8 and P7 at the moment, so not able to make great progress through the field, and that again is going to be great news for the likes of Mike Busson and Paul Crabb 1 and 2.
Yeah, Simon Edwards made up 3 places, however. McRitchie's going to have a go at Crab now. Crab's going to come and cover him off over into turn 1. He's got to get that stop, though. He went in very, very heavy, did Crab. He managed to get the car brake and stopped, avoiding the wall on the right-hand side. Now we've got the run coming down into turn 3. On the roll bar of McRitchie, there goes Crab beside us. Is he going to let us through? Hell no, he's not going to let us through. But McRitchie! Ay, 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 ay. That was very, very close indeed.
When they say cutback, they don't mean give his rear bumper a trim. And he almost did that.
He did.
McRitchie. He wanted to give it a good slim fadey, I think. Anyway, the slight little graze of the wall from Paul Crabb. James McRitchie just in behind, of course, still in this fight for second. Lap 2 of 18 as the gap at the front now 1.2 seconds. And Mike Bousson has been handed this opportunity. He scooped it up with both hands, said thank you very much, and has taken control of this race. Dan Webster just ahead, as you can see, riding on board with championship leader of James Barry, trying to negotiate their way through the field. Luke Maxwell up next, though, and I've got to be honest, my experience with Luke Maxwell, he's not going to give this up easily.
No, he definitely isn't. He hasn't had the greatest season, so mind you, at the beginning of this one. So, unfortunately for Luke, he's kind of well out of the championship. I think he's just racing for himself. Whoa! Shh. I think we've just lost Barry in that. I have got a funny feeling we may have just lost James Barry to this incident. Oh, we did. He had nowhere to go. Oh, James. We were on the front left of Dan Webster there. We just avoided it. Oh. Barry did not. God, man.
You're not avoiding that.
No.
There is nothing that you can do.
Not at all.
Even if he was Spider-Man, right? you're not reacting to that in time. Even if he was able to, the car wouldn't.
No.
And like that is why, ladies and gentlemen, you leave a 2-second time gap when you are driving on the motorway. That's what the highway code says. That's why, because if you can't see in front of you and you need to stop, you're going to need to stop. So revise your theory test or something, I don't know. Anyway, in racing, it doesn't necessarily apply because you want to overtake people. McRitchie is,
dearie me.
Gonna owe Barry a beer, I reckon.
I reckon so as well. I think Barry's just literally may have had one of them moments where we call him a brown pants moment. I think Barry's just had one. Edwards has just dived up the inside of Crab. Reed's also got Crab there as well. I don't think there's many places he could have got a slowdown, but if he did, he got one, because he's going to lose places to Dan Webster and Luke Maxwell all at the same time here for Paul Crab, so he must have picked up a slowdown. I'm trying to think where he would have got that, to be blatantly honest. Webster's going to try and sweep round the outside. Oh my God, he did it at turn 3. Dan Webster round the outside. Absolutely stellar job. Good evening, Phil. Good evening, Mr. Ben Groves in YouTube there as well. Great track. Them walls will get you. Well, unfortunately, it wasn't a wall. It was another car for James Barry coming around the corner. So, do you know what? I actually surprised Dan missed him. We were on the front left with Dan. We saw how close it is. I am actually really shocked that he did not hit him as well.
Oh, me as well, I've got to be honest. It was a lucky escape from Dan Webster because the car is already fully sort of laterally loaded and pulled to the outside of the corner, which is where McRitchie is. Very rarely do you sort of give enough allowance to be able to shave off an entire car's width from the barrier, because the whole point of driving quickly is to use all of the track. All of the track entails using all of the track. On board with Damien Guy, what has happened to the 40 going into the sort of the park section?
Oh, it's going to hit the curb.
And again, at that point, you're not turning or stopping.
No, and he ain't doing a lot in that car at this moment in time for Damien G, unfortunately for him. Oh, Bousson's crashed! He's thrown it away! What did he do?
Well, so there must have been a mistake beforehand, because
he's got it too quick. Oh, Mike, you absolute donut. He clearly had a moment before then because Josh Reed passed him, but this one mate, he just missed it.
He's tried to go in a bit too hard. He's broken too hard for the corner, which has caused the fronts to lock, which has meant that he's just not stopped or turned. So that's that, I think. I'm assuming it was a front locking. At some point, the front did lock. That's what it was. Fair play. I can't lie. The initial save itself was very good. He's basically just slammed both pedals down, allowed the car to sort of essentially torque steer without torque steering itself back into a straight line. And then it all goes to nothing because there you can see front right lock. He's got no turning. He's not stopping. And he's out the race.
Oh, Mike. That has freed up Mr. Josh Reed, though. And if I remember correctly, this could be Mr. Reed's first win of the season if he gets it here. And it will be, actually. Yes, it is his first win. Looking back through the pile of race notes, will be his first win if he can wrap this up. However, he's still got 12 laps to go, and you've got a kind of a 7-time champion wrapped in behind you. If that's ever pressure I would not want to feel there for Josh Reed, it would be having Simon Edwards breathing down my neck.
Yeah, you sort of just look in your mirror and it's just, is he still there? He is still there. It's like sort of that monster underneath your bed. That at the moment is Simon Edwards. He is the monster, and he is someone you very much should worry about. The 52, of course, like we say, 7-time champion, P2 in the championship at the moment, and chose this track. Didn't quite work out in his favour in race 1, but he's making it work for himself in race 2. The only problem is, behind him is Dan Webster in that 111 machine, who is driving like his life depends on it this evening. P2 in race 1, of course, and has been flying through the field in race number 2. And right now he doesn't see Simon Edwards and Josh Reed. All he sees is P2 and P1. He doesn't care who's driving the car. He just wants the positions and the points and the trophy.
Yeah, absolutely. Edwards are there. Oh, Reed made him hit the wall coming out of turn 12. Webster hit the wall coming through turn 1, and not turn 1, sorry, down through turn 13. And Josh Reed is, where are you? Oh, he's there. Where did he? I'm sure he just blinked off there. Even out of my eyes deceived me. Maxwell and Webster are running side by side. It looks like Webster may have just copped to slow down as well because he let him go through. Simon Edwards takes the lead now. The question is, can he be stopped? That's going to be the question, or the $1 million question.
Yeah, we'll find out. I would love to win £1 million if it's right.
You are aware that was hypothetical, right?
Do we have the budget for that?
I'd have to ask the wife.
Nice. Fair enough. Craig Jones, is it past your bedtime? I don't know. You're the one that likes sleeping, not me. Simon Edwards leading the way at the moment. Josh Reed. I haven't spoken to Craig Jones in a while, actually. It's interesting that has he always been around recently?
He is still around, mate. He's generally in bed by about 9:30. Is he? 10 o'clock, yeah. When you get to his age, you know what I mean, you need the slippers and the blanket. So we don't really see him very often. However, on the upside, we returned to an old nemesis of his on Tuesday. We went back to the Silverstone Legacy South Circuit where he got lost and went the wrong way. And I must say, he managed to go the right way, but that was only for 2 out of the 4 races. He didn't finish the other 2. So, but he went the right way for the 2 that he was in.
That's good going for him.
Yeah, I know.
Do you reckon he has to wear a beanie to bed because his head gets cold during the autumn and winter? Is that a thing?
Probably. You might be right, to be fair, mate. You might be right.
Bless him. He's going to sit on Santa's lap and wish for a hairline. Anyway, we're nearly halfway through the race. Number 2. Luke Maxwell, P3. I can't make Santa jokes. It's not even Halloween yet. Anyway, he's going to be trying to find his way through on Josh Reed, who, I've got to be honest, we said, can Simon Edwards be stopped? Reed and Maxwell are doing a pretty good job at least giving us the hope that he can. Yeah,
I think Reed's pushing, and there's been a couple of times where he's tapped a little at the wall there, and I do wonder if he's pushing maybe beyond the limits of himself. He's no slouch, don't get me wrong, but You know, have you ever been stuck behind one of them drivers who just overdrives the cars so much because they're so determined to stay in front of you, and then you end up jumping back and you watch as you go past them because they've hit the wall? I'm not saying Josh Reed is going to go and hit the wall, but he's tapped it a little couple of times on that rear right. He's going to have to be a little bit careful just in case it does happen again. Paul Crabb, unfortunately, has jumped back to the pits. What?
This is why.
Yeah, this is why. But what did he do?
Well, he looks like the steering is slightly out of angle. Oh, there we go.
That could have been the second one. I'm wondering if this might be the first one. Did he
Because already it looks as though it's right hand down, but I don't know if he's just trying to turn right. No, that is definitely something's knocked, surely. Well, in that case, he's just tried to carry a bit too much speed through the corner and tried to try a brake a little bit too much, and what it's done is just loop the car around. Again, easily done. We've all done it plenty of times, and unfortunately, it's a mistake that has spelled the end of his race.
Yeah, definitely on that one. Craig says he misses you. He's missed you, apparently. I know. I'm just saying that, you know, on that one. And Mr. Ben Grove said he'd like $1 million as well. So I definitely don't think. Yeah.
Is that the Christmas bonus at JPB?
Hey, if there's that, no, basically.
I'll take $1 million V-Bucks instead.
$1 million V-Bucks. I'll take $1 million V-Bucks for Fortnite on that one. Well, you know, to be fair, I've been playing that recently. Not been too bad. Oh, dude, yeah, but it's one of them games that you can just get on, shoot people and come off again. It's really not that complicated, to be blatantly honest. There's not a lot of thinking involved as well. And now for Luke Maxwell, however, he has got a lot of thinking to do. Is he going to pressurise round turn one? He's not. What about going through the left-hander at 2? He needs to stay off that wall on the outside. Nearly. Now he's going to get right. He's not close enough. This is the thing. I think that draft down that straight, you've got to be within 1.5 tenths, because at the moment, anything outside of that, you're just not getting close at all.
Yeah, and again, especially into a corner like turn 3 as well, you're not really able to sort of go for a move, because again, say a circuit with a slightly longer straight and a bit of a more open braking zone, you can get away with, say, yeah, you're maybe 3 tenths back. And the slipstream is, oh my goodness me, Luke Maxwell's nearly dropped it into the barrier, but he's able to lock all 4 wheels, stop the car and get going again. And we talk about slipstream range. He is firmly out of it. Dan Webster makes his way into 3rd place, now 4.5 seconds off the top 2. That was a scary moment for Luke Maxwell, and it's probably going to spell the end of his podium chances as well.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a tough one to get hold of Mr. Webster. For him, looking back from Simon Edwards' car here, looking back at Josh Reed, who's staying within that 6 tenths mark. This is the closest battle on the racetrack at the moment. Everybody else is either out, as you can see from the bottom 5, or spread out from each other. There's no real battling going on there as well. Feel at least somebody's missed Zach, bless him, as well. Anytime you gents want to Fortnite up, I'm game. James, I'm going to shoot you a message, says Ben Groves there as well. You have to put up with James' rage quit. No, that's not entirely true, Craig. I only rage quit when I'm playing with you and the medic as well. There's a standing joke for Craig's wife, who carries four first aid kits, 6 sets of minis and barely any guns, and why I'm there fighting people, she's running off to try and revive Craig. So
well, historically that has been the case, isn't it?
Yes, she's the medic running off. Even Craig called her that as well. We were talking about it the other day. He said, oh, I'll have to bring the medic with me. I was like, okay mate, at least we know we're going to have first aid kits. So there we go. Yeah, Ben, shoot me a message, mate. We'll get together, to be blatantly honest. I normally play it between my English ones and my American ones, so basically straight after this on that one. However, I've got some setting up to do after the PC situation earlier on. Got rescued by Simon Edwards, and had a mate come round as well trying to resolve the whole issue. Josh is staying within contact here. I thought, to be blatantly honest, I thought when Simon Edwards was going to get out in front, Zach, he was going to be on his bike, and then me and you would be talking and waffling about not a lot. Not that
what? Oh no, I was going to say, I thought you were throwing me to, like, you were doubting Josh Reed. I was like, I'm not a part of that.
I'm not doubting. I'm actually crediting Josh Reed the fact that he stayed with Simon Edwards, because I did think Edwards would pull off. But then again, in Edwards in race number 1, he didn't quite pull away as much as I thought he was going to.
Yeah, no. Well, he didn't pull away at all. I mean, if anything, he sort of went backwards. He, I don't know, pushed. No, that makes no sense anyway. Whatever. The opposite of. I was thinking the opposite of pull away. I don't know. Whatever. It's fine. But whatever, right? Simon Edwards, he has somehow sort of turned the wick up for race 2. So too is Josh Reed. And I've got to say, I'm impressed. I like the fact that he's taking the challenge. Unfortunately, I'm going to say I don't think he's going to win this race unless Simon Edwards makes a mistake, purely because the last couple of laps, it's not been much, but it has been a chip, you know, half a tenth of a second away from Josh Reed. It's marginal stuff, but it's marginal stuff that favour Edwards, which is just slowly pulling Josh Reed out of contention. Small mistakes here or there, like that one through that final right-hander to lead you on that run towards the line. It's small things like that that make the difference, and Simon Edwards is just bridging himself out of slipstream. Yeah,
well, Luke Maxwell is building a bridge inwards to Dan Webster. So there we go on that one. So Luke has pulled himself in to the back. I'm sorry, I got really stuck by Craig Jones's message in YouTube chat. I looked at it really quickly, and that wasn't quite. Never mind. Anyway, moving on. But lap 13, is it? To be fair, for an 18-lap race, this is quite a long one for these cars.
It is, yeah. Especially if you're sort of Phil Glover and obviously, you know, rattling your teeth around for 18 laps. It does take a toll, especially when it's in a minute and a half lap time. So you are looking upwards of sort of higher, sort of about maybe a 26, 27 minute race, maybe even a little bit more, depends, maybe sort of in that range, 26 to 28 minutes or so. It's a long one to pull off, and it means that it opens the door for so many different avenues of possibility, so many chapters in the, you know, sort of the narrative that we're writing of race number 2. I don't know, quite an eloquent way of putting it. I don't know. As it opens the door for more things to happen, like with Luke Maxwell's mistake, he's got time in this race to fire back and apply the pressure back onto Dan Webster for P3.
Yeah, I got Craig's wife there in YouTube chat. She's not happy. I presume that's probably mentioning about the medic kits on that one as well. But Webster is closing in. It's going to be quite interesting to see. Dan's looked quick, though, unfortunately. So I think for Luke, he might get a little bit struggle going into the last 4 laps here. The gap up front is opened up to about 1.3 seconds. It looks like our good friend Mr. Gray. Oh, I've come off that at really the wrong time. I'm sorry, because Dan Webster there was about to lose that position to Maxwell going into turn 3, and he does go through on that one. Dan Webster did go through, got the job done. Luke Maxwell did go through, got the job done. Sorry, coming into 3 around turn 4. Now we can have a look at what is Graham Matthew got himself up to. Unfortunately for him, that's coming down into the right-hander of turn, where is he? Turn 3. Yeah, and just went in a little bit too hot.
Yeah, easily done. Just lock the fronts, and that was that. I mean, you want to carry speed through, so you're trying to trail brake. No ABS, and well, there we go. The front's lock, and you've got no turning. Thankfully, he didn't commit to the corner, in which case he would have found the barrier. He bailed out and just sort of got the car stopped first. Cost him lap time, but at the end of the day, stopped him from taking some damage. Dan Webster now behind Luke Maxwell. This is the fight for 3rd place, as the fight at the front seems to be fizzling out. Simon Edwards now 2 seconds clear of Josh Reed. Speaking of the championship, after what happened with James Barry earlier on in the race, which, by the way, was still this race, was ages ago that happened, has knocked him firmly out of contention. Simon Edwards is making a net gain of this round so far.
He is, yeah. And for Simon Edwards, he's done rather well, because obviously sitting in race number 1, he did lose them points at the beginning. But as he stands, he's going to be on 40. Barry will be on 23. That's 17 points. That makes up 12 that Simon Edwards would have pulled back on him over this round as well. So yeah, keep an eye out on that one. It's going to be a very interesting championship. They've been going backwards and forwards all night, so all season so far. So I do wonder, you know, is it going to be a Barry Edwards championship to say?
I assume so. How many rounds are there again?
12.
12. Oh, we've got over half the season left. Yeah, of course it is. It's going to be a great championship all the way to the end. Hopefully, especially if Barry is able to stay on the form he has been for the last couple of rounds, and if Simon Edwards continues to do what Simon Edwards does at best. We've got, of course, still Dan Webster on the back of Luke Maxwell, and it's interesting to see the sort of difference in lines they take. Some drivers, well, particularly Dan Webster, actually, it was his downfall in race 1, carries a bit too much speed through the left, pushes out wide, going into that right-hander. So in sort of carrying more speed through the left, he's sacrificing that right, and it definitely cost him. You could see that Maxwell was able to pull out at least a couple of car lengths on the exit. That's what cost him, I think, the race in race 1, was trying to carry too much speed through the left, sort of forgetting the right, being sort of quick for maybe that initial part of the sequence, and then overall in the lap time losing time as such. So maybe needs to sort out the priorities, keep it more tight for that left to open up the right, because at the moment he's catching for the best part of the lap and then losing all of that progress right at the end of it. Pretty much arguably the most important corner of the circuit, because it's the one that sets you up for that run all the way to the finish line, and of course eventually that overtaking the opportunity at turn 3.
Yeah. You are right, but he just seems to be struggling. He's losing more and more time here. Lap 16 of 18. Edwards has opened up the gap, 2.9 seconds. Maxwell's is further back than that. He's 7.9 back behind Reed. Webster 1.5. Gonzaga, Rolliston, LeMay, Barry into 8th at the moment. Glover's still trundling around there with his VR motion sim, rattling his brains on the way through on that one in 9th place. So a top 10 finish for him. So a great job. But for a man who finished 3rd in round number 1 to come back and then practically dominate race number 2, there ain't words, is there, for somebody like that?
Nah, absolutely not. Well, there are 2, and it's Simon Edwards. There, of course, lap 17 of 18, he's got, what, a lap and a half, well, probably a little bit more than that, a lap and a half left to go, we'll call it at that. And what a quite literally a champion's drive it's been to pick himself up, not only after sort of a woeful race. I mean, I say woeful, it was still P3, like it wasn't bad, but for his standard, obviously not on the pace, that mistake, not quite to the standard that Simon Edwards would hold himself to then reverse that, motivate himself for race 2, pick himself back up, not only climb 7 places through the field, but then to also keep it tidy, consistent, patient, and at the moment win the race by maybe at the line 4 seconds if he's able to keep the trend up and not make a mistake between now and the checker flag. What a drive it's been from Simon Edwards to fire back at James Barry after the domination that he experienced at Zandvoort.
You are right, and I think that's the thing, that for James Barry again, he just showed that he just hasn't quite got rid of Simon Edwards just yet. That's the thing, isn't it? He's just not got rid of him. Edwards is going to keep coming back at him and keep coming back at him and keep coming back at him, race after race after race. And Barry's going to have such a tough fight on his hands this season to take that championship away and stop Simon Edwards getting an 8th one there. Rolliston is slowly, and I say that because he has been very, very slowly over the last few laps, closing in on Gonzaga. You can see Gonzaga was a little bit quicker at some points, and now Gonzaga quicker on 15, 3 tenths, 6 tenths for Rolliston on the last lap. I wonder if Gonzaga's tyres going here.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, especially considering it's a slightly longer race, but right at the tail end of it, it's very possible that he's just overdriven ever so slightly. It won't take a lot for there to be a big difference. Not necessarily in terms of wear, but more in terms of temperature and pressure. The more you overdrive them, the hotter they're going to get. If that surface temperature of the tyre is hot, you are going to slide and feel the pain. Nonetheless, driver that's not going to be feeling the pain at all is Simon Edwards. He's got 2 corners left to go to seal victory on what has been a mighty championship campaign so far.
Yeah, Edwards is doing a great job here. He's wrapped it up in race number 2. He just almost lapped Graham Matthew. He's going to go all the way around. Simon Edwards comes through, dominates race number 2. Josh Reed with a podium there. as well, and I believe that maybe his first one, if I'm not mistaken, as he comes over the line in second place. Luke Maxwell grabs third, with Webster Gonzaga not very far apart from Rolliston. Rollo there just didn't quite get him. James Parry comes over the line in seventh in the end, clears Phil Glover, who is down coming into the final turn 12. So good job, survived the race for Phil.
Yeah, that's true. He managed to get through P8, and there we go. I mean, in a race where 5 drivers DNF'd, you are guaranteed a top 10 finish just for getting to the end. And that's what I was saying earlier, comfortability and consistency over pure pace. And, well, that is exactly what Phil Glover was able to do. And he probably was smiling from ear to ear the entire time whilst doing it, which is equally as important.
Just I think where they finish, you know, the guys, you know, and you know, have some that one fine. Maxwell Gonzaga in seventh in the end. Matthew 10 13 took a chat with Mr. Phil Glover to start off with here for race at number 2. Phil, how was it out there for you? You finished 8th in the end.
Yeah, quite exhilarating. I'm guessing Paulie had a problem, or his arm was giving him trouble.
Or he just generally crashed.
Did he? Okay, I just
did
did that, trying to turn into the pits that weren't the pits.
Yeah, he unfortunately the back end come round and he went and hit the wall, Phil.
Okay, that's a shame. But it was to my benefit, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. Finished in 9th place. It's not a bad going at all.
I thought it was 8th. It says 8th on my.
Oh, 8th. It is 8th. Sorry, that's my bad. 8th.
Yeah. So, gosh, my arms are aching, and I turned it down for the second.
You chicken, you.
Yeah, but when you're trying to hang on not to get thrown out the chair as well at the same time, it's a bit of a challenge. But I really enjoyed that. It's a circuit that favours the brave, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And how brave are you? Do you think to get round? You survived at least. That was always a good start.
Yeah, I was trying to mentally think, is James going to actually make it past me? And then I was thinking, well, he's doing at least 2 seconds a lap quicker than me, so I knew he was going to come past. But it was great fun, really. How was it for you guys to commentate?
No, we were all right. We were doing well. Me and Zach having a good old little chitwag, commentating on the action. There was some nice little crashes. Mike Pousson crashing out the lead of the race, unfortunately, a donut. But no, it was good, mate. It was good, to be blatantly honest with you. I'm glad you had fun, though.
Yeah, was there a main place that people were overtaking?
No, to be fair, they were waiting for people to make errors and generally going through on that one.
That was my strategy, as I said to you at the start. So, great. And you're going to tell me where we are next week.
Oh, am I?
Yeah, go on.
We're on a racetrack.
That's my normal answer.
That is your normal answer. You're right on that one. You're going to Circuit de Navarro.
Okay. I think we've all got that one. It's a free one, but is it a new one?
A couple of seasons, I think now.
Okay, I've never driven on it. I know it'll be in my thing somewhere. So, yeah, get some practice done and see how it goes.
Oh, mate, no worries. Phil, always a pleasure talking to you there, buddy. Anyone you want to shout out before we let you
go? A shame to Paul. It's always terrible to see somebody crashing out, but it's always nice when it bumps you up a place, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely on that one. Well, Phil, thanks so much there, buddy. Look forward to seeing you next week.
Yep. Cheers and bye.
Bye. Oh, hold on. There we go. On that one, I'll tell you what we'll do after that. We'll have a chat with the third place man, Mr. Luke Maxwell. Luke, welcome in, bud. How are you?
Yeah, good, thanks. Long time no speak.
Yeah, mate. You've not been here.
No, I keep ending up in the walls.
Well, that is also true as well. Hey, you were lucky. You just missed the wall in race number 2.
That was quite close. I was thinking, oh, please, please don't hit the wall. But just managed to get away with it. I know Dan had damage, so I thought I could cool the tyres down for a few laps, and then he should be easy enough on the straights because he lost all his straight line speed. So that was good. Good fun. Good track.
Yeah, it is a good track. One that's very bumpy as well out there, and we've seen that tonight because there was quite a lot of people who had problems on the circuit as well. For you, Luke, what is it now? What are we looking at with you within this championship? Are we out here for a Luke Maxwell bit of fun, seeing how he gets on? Because he's not really in that championship fight.
No, I could just get some consistency going really, and try and finish the season. Yeah, I know we've got quite a few races left. No aspirations for the championship now. It's just a case of see if I can get some consistency. See how many races I can do, and hopefully keep it clean. That's my mission.
Yeah, going to the Navarro next week.
Who, where?
Circuit de Navarro.
Never heard of it.
All right, well, you could join Phil in the list of people who's never heard of it, and to be blatantly honest on that one. It's not a bad circuit. It's one I think is only about 2 seasons old, if I'm not mistaken. And maybe somebody on YouTube can correct me on that one, but it's... how can I put it? Magny-Core-esque, I suppose, on that, the way that makeup it is.
I say I've never heard of it. I think I've got that one. I think I've driven it in the Clios, did we?
Yeah, I think so.
Back. Yeah. That'll be all right.
Yeah, I don't think we did that layout though. I think we may have done because we generally put you on short ones, didn't we? And I think generally we might have done the medium layout. But yeah, I think we have been there, mate. And I think it's going to be exciting to see. Are you going to make it? I suppose that's going to be the question.
Should be fine now. Yeah, I've been away for my 50th birthday this last weekend and a few days. So yes, a few work events as well recently on Thursdays conveniently. So I've missed a few, but yeah, I should hopefully make the rest of them now.
Oh, mate, awesome stuff. Well, I'll be interested to see how high you can get there. Luke, buddy, anyone you want to shout out before we let you go?
Just give a shout out to you guys. Well, actually, no, I'm going to give a shout out to Phil Glover for doing that in motion today. That was just epic.
I know, dude. He turned it down for race number 2.
I'm not surprised.
He was all big and brave in race number 1. Like, I never toned it down when I had a chat with him after. And I was like, "Did you not?" He was like, "No, I'm all right." And then at the end of the race 2, I said, "How'd you get on?" He went, "Well, I had to turn it down, James." I was like, "I'm not surprised."
I imagine he needs a gum shield for that one.
Oh, mate, that's a dentist trip. That is. I'll tell you that much. Listen, Luke, have a good one, buddy. I'll catch up with you soon.
Cheers, guys.
Take care. Right, next up, we'll have a chat with Mr. Simon Edwards when I move people around the right order rather than move myself out of the box here as well. Simon, welcome in, bud. How are you?
I'm very good. Did you like my choice?
I did like your choice. However, probably a few people did not.
I have a feeling it was a feast or famine, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. We lost about, I think it was 5 people. No, I'm going to say 4 because David Beasley never made it. We lost 4 people, and then there was a few incidents for others that did finish. Of course, we had Mike crash out of the lead again.
Yeah, I saw Mike half, because I got past him, didn't I?
Yeah.
Did he crash when I was getting past him?
He did a half spin, and then before you got through turn 14, I believe it was, he did an half spin, and then the run down into turn 1, as you'd have gone already up the inside, he tried to go round the outside, forgot to brake, forgot to turn, and ended up rifling the tyre barrier coming out of turn 1.
I did wonder.
Yeah, I don't know what he planned. You know what I mean? I don't know if he thought he was in a W13 or something, but he was not making it round the corner at that speed, to be honest with you, Simon. Listen, I do want to talk about, though, you've just gained 11 points on Mr. Barry going from this race, which makes up for the 5 you are. So technically, you should be in front by 6 points going into next week.
Ooh, that's good. I think with the drop rounds, the league might say we're equal. But,
Yeah, I'm going to give it
overall. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to give or take on that one because, as we know, they get the website's normally different to what we see in the in iRacing itself as well. Listen, race number 1 didn't quite seem on the pace. Simon, did you have a bit of damage there that we didn't see?
No. So qualifying, like an idiot, I hit the wall and then I couldn't get the pace to qualify. So I was just going to cruise initially when they got good pace. I thought I'll just cruise here, and then I'll get them. Towards the end, I'll save my tyres. I'll have a go at the end. And then I made a mistake and fell back 3/4 of a second or something. And then I don't know how I lost it in T2.
Hit the wall.
No, I didn't hit the wall. I just lost it on the bump.
Oh,
so saved it, but I had the tyres screaming hot, and Josh had got past. So it was fun to get back past Josh. So it wasn't a boring race. I wasn't too disappointed in third. It helped me start a bit higher in the second race.
Yeah, and you got a good start as well, making up 3 spots by the end of lap 1.
Yeah. I did get involved in that. Was it James McRitchie?
Oh, mate, that was, I tell you what, how anybody avoided McRitchie at that corner.
I didn't. I got a rear end wheel and it went, "You have wheel damage." I thought that was it. I'm done.
Yeah, well, I could tell you one thing. Poor old James Barry did not avoid him and sent him up in the air. Dan Webster must have just caught him. I don't know how, but yeah, it was very, it was a little bit chaotic there. But I tell you what, though, it's going to brew up for a nice, interesting end to this season, Simon. Anyone you want to shout out, buddy? I'm
going to shout out to all the residents of Detroit for allowing this circuit to be used.
All right, and while you're here, I'm going to shout out you for spending an hour and a half with me earlier on trying to sort out my very overdramatic PC on that one. So thank you so much for taking that time to help me with my problems, dear sir.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, Simon Edwards, I will catch you next week.
Yeah, see you then.
See ya. Well, there you go. All very happy. Everybody seemed fine. You know, Edwards pulling points back, puts him 6, should put him 6 in front going into next week as well. There's that Circuit de Navarra for Luke Maxwell and Phil Glover. They didn't even know it existed.
Yeah, and surprisingly, I do know it exists, purely because it's the only MSV-owned circuit that's not in the UK, and it's over in Spain, I think.
Yep.
And it's quite a cool track from what I've seen. I've not driven it, but yeah, I think it's going to be a good mix. I reckon you and Alex are going to have a lot of fun, and of course this championship, jumping in for one round, seeing how exciting it is going to be one that I'm going to have to follow for sure, because that battle between Barry and Edwards all the way, I think, is it's going to boil down to the final round. Well, hopefully at the very least, because the form those two drivers are on, it's going to be fireworks. But I think plenty of practice to do ahead of next week.
Yeah, I do fully agree with you on that one. Thank you so much for joining us. Everybody that's been in YouTube chat as well. Mr. Craig Jones, who popped in. Ben Groves as well, the old salty sailor. Phil, as always, thank you so much on that one. And Paul Clark, get well soon, buddy. Much love, as always, for joining us. Well, guys, that's going to bring it to an end. Join us later on for the Triple Bypass Xfinity at Nashville Super Speedway. Should be a fun one with myself and Bradley Dalton. But as always, take care. Have a great week. And you never know, I might see you on a track sometime. Good night.